Today we're going to talk about a topic that few have the courage to address honestly: the harsh realities of life after 80. Aging is a privilege, but it also brings challenges that are often ignored or romanticized. If you're over 80, approaching that age, or have a loved one at that stage of life, this video is for you. Let's reflect with respect, empathy, and truth about the physical, emotional, and social changes that mark this stage of life, and of course, how to face them with dignity and wisdom. If you're new here, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. One of the most difficult realities to face after the age of 80 is that the body no longer responds in the same way. No matter how active and healthy a person has been throughout their life, the aging process brings physical limitations that are natural and, to a certain extent, inevitable. Over the years, it is common to experience a progressive loss of muscle mass called sarcopenia. This means less strength to perform simple tasks such as getting out of bed, carrying a bag, or climbing a step. Balance also tends to worsen, increasing the risk of falls, one of the leading causes of hospitalization and loss of independence among older adults. In addition, the cardiovascular system, lungs, and metabolism slow down. Walking short distances can cause fatigue, and activities that were once automatic now require more effort. Chronic conditions such as osteoarthritis, diabetes, hypertension, and heart problems become more common, requiring constant monitoring and often daily use of multiple medications. Vision and hearing are also often affected. Cataracts, macular degeneration, and hearing loss can make communication, reading, and interaction with the environment difficult. This affects not only quality of life, but also safety. A person with sensory difficulties is more vulnerable to accidents and misunderstandings. As difficult as it may be to accept these changes, recognizing this reality is essential. Denying physical decline can lead to frustration and unnecessary risks. Instead, it is important to adapt. Use assistive devices such as canes or walkers. Reorganize the home to prevent falls. Adjust the exercise routine to something lighter and more functional, and keep medical appointments up to date. Aging with dignity does not mean denying the signs of aging, but rather learning to live with them in the best way possible. The good news is that with proper monitoring, a balanced diet, physical therapy, and an active mind, it is possible to maintain a good quality of life, even with physical limitations. The important thing is not to isolate yourself, not to give in to inactivity, and to always seek support when necessary. After the age of 80, one of the most profound and painful changes that many older adults face is not in their bodies, but in their hearts and minds: loneliness. As the years pass, social circles tend to shrink. Friends and family members of the same generation have often passed away, and children or grandchildren, although they love them, are busy with their own lives, routines, and responsibilities. The result is that many older adults spend long periods of time alone. The house that was once full of voices and movement can now seem too quiet. The days drag on, the hours seem longer, and the feeling of being forgotten by the world sets in, even when there is love around. This feeling is more common than you might think, and more dangerous too. Constant loneliness can have profound effects on mental and physical health. Studies show that social isolation is directly linked to higher risks of depression, anxiety, and even dementia. In addition, loneliness affects sleep, appetite, and increases inflammation in the body, which can aggravate pre-existing conditions. Another important factor is that many older adults avoid asking for help or talking about how they feel. There is a certain pride in demonstrating independence or a belief that no one will understand. This only deepens the emotional abyss. Often, older adults don't want to be a burden and isolate themselves even more, even when there are people willing to help. But it is essential to understand there is no shame in feeling lonely or seeking connections. Maintaining social ties, however simple, is one of the keys to healthy aging. Participating in social groups, churches, senior clubs, or even talking to neighbors and family members via video calls can make a big difference. In addition, family members and caregivers should be attentive. A visit, a phone call, or even a message can brighten the day of someone who feels forgotten. Listening patiently and affectionately, valuing life stories, and offering time. This is the best gift for those who have given so much of themselves throughout their lives. Facing loneliness requires empathy, openness, and above all, the certainty that no one should grow old without being heard, seen, and loved. One of the most impactful changes after age 80 is the gradual loss of independence. For many seniors, this transition is silent but profound, and can be accompanied by feelings of frustration, sadness, and even shame. After all, after a lifetime of being independent, taking care of a family, working, making decisions, and solving problems, becoming dependent on others for the most basic activities is a huge emotional challenge. This loss of autonomy can take many forms. It often starts with small limitations: difficulty climbing stairs, forgetting appointments, needing help reading reading small print, or remembering to take medication. Over time, essential activities such as bathing, dressing, cooking, or even going to the bathroom may require assistance. For some, driving is no longer a safe option, which increases feelings of isolation and dependence. The emotional impact of this cannot be underestimated. Many older adults feel useless, ashamed, or even guilty for being a burden on their children or caregivers. It is common to hear phrases such as, "I'm no good for anything anymore," or "I don't want to bother anyone." These words reflect the pain of those who feel they have lost control over their own lives. But it is important to say, losing some independence does not mean losing dignity or value. Everyone at some point in their lives needs help, and aging with support is a right, not a weakness. The problem lies in how this transition is handled. It is essential that family members involve older adults in decisions that affect them. Choose together how to adapt the home, medication schedules, and types of help needed. This preserves a sense of control and respect. In addition, resources such as walkers, grab bars, adapted utensils, and trained caregivers can be essential to maintaining as much autonomy as possible, safely. Another key point is to encourage activities that the elderly person can still do, even with adaptations. Small household chores, gardening, hobbies, writing, reading, all of these reinforce self-esteem and a sense of usefulness. Reaching 80 does not mean that financial worries end. In fact, for many elderly people, they intensify. After a lifetime of work, many retire on a fixed, often limited income, such as a pension or social security benefits. The problem is that the cost of living continues to rise, and expenses for healthcare, housing, and assistance tend to increase over the years. One of the main challenges is the cost of medication. At age 80 or older, it is common for people to be undergoing ongoing treatment for various conditions, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, chronic pain, among others. Many of these medications are not fully covered by the public health system or are not available on a regular basis, forcing seniors to pay for them out of pocket. In addition, there are expenses for medical appointments, tests, physical therapy, home care, home adaptations such as grab bars, ramps, special beds, and eventually caregivers. If the elderly person needs a nursing home or long-term care facility, the costs are even higher and in many cases unaffordable for most families. Another important point is that many elderly people help their children or grandchildren financially out of love and solidarity, even when this compromises their own budget. Others end up being victims of financial abuse, a serious and silent problem in which relatives or third parties take advantage of their vulnerability to obtain benefits, take out loans, or control the elderly person's resources without transparency. It is also common for older adults to feel ashamed or reluctant to ask for financial help, even when they are in need. This resistance can lead them to stop buying medicine, skip meals, or postpone important medical treatments in order to save money. Given this, it is essential that financial education for older adults be valued and accessible, as well as family support. Children and grandchildren should be attentive, not to control the older adult's money, but to ensure that it is used safely and with dignity. Checking to see if there are benefits to which they are entitled, such as free or discounted programs, can make a big difference. Aging with peace of mind also includes financial stability and security. That's why talking about money in old age is not taboo. It's a necessity. Planning, dialogue, and respect are essential for seniors to live their final years with minimal worry and maximum dignity. Few topics are as delicate and as inevitable as this one: the awareness of one's own mortality. After the age of 80, this thought becomes more present, more real, closer. It is no longer an abstract idea. It is something that the body and mind begin to feel clearly. Many older adults begin to reflect on the time they have lived, what they have done, what they have failed to do, and above all, what is to come. Confronting death does not only happen when thinking about one's own life coming to an end, but also when seeing friends, siblings, or even children passing away before us. The cycle of life, once distant, is now experienced in real time. This can arouse feelings of fear, sadness, regret, and in many cases existential loneliness, even when surrounded by love. In addition, there are a number of practical and emotional issues that arise. What will happen to my possessions? Will my family be okay? Have I left a legacy? Will anyone remember me? Spirituality, whether religious or not, takes center stage in the reflections of many older adults. It is common for profound questions to arise about the meaning of life, forgiveness, and reconciliation with the past and with others. This process is natural and must be respected. However, not all older adults find the space to talk about it openly. Many family members avoid the subject, thinking that talking about death is cursing or depressing, but the truth is that denying death does not prevent it from happening. It just makes it harder to deal with when it arrives. Ideally, older adults should be able to talk about their fears, desires, and even their preferences for their final moments with people they trust. This includes topics such as wills and advance directives, as well as conversations about spirituality, farewell rituals, and tributes. Dealing with finitude with courage and clarity can bring inner peace, both for those who are aging and for their families. Accepting accepting that life has an end allows us to value the present moment, the little things and true affection even more. Ultimately, it is not about fearing death, but about living life to the fullest until the very last moment. And this is only possible when we face reality head-on with love, wisdom, and serenity.